Hello, we are Team 1. Presenting to you our case study is myself, Ayana, Laqueta, Sharon, Carrie, and Julia. The case study is called Uniting a Class Project, Team Project. It is on page 298 in our management book. The story is about a group of 6 members who are meeting up to finish their group project for their management class that is due the next day. Each member agrees to provide 2 pages of material on a disc and to bring a hard copy for editing. As each member arrives to the meeting, the lead member noticed that most of the team only had 1 page done, and some of them were handwritten. The lead member also realized there is a lot to be done, like integrating, typing, editing, polishing, and proofreading. The lead knows each member has activities outside the class that they are committed to, which has hindered past meetings. The varsity athlete always has practices and missed meetings. The international student who doesn't get along with the lead member has poor written English, but is good orally and has good ideas. The fraternity president has his part ready and is anxious to leave because he has different other social obligations. The drama major just got the lead in the school play and has no more interest in the class and has a handwritten draft that is way too skimpy on details. And the marketing major has a flight reservation for this evening and just finished jotting down some creative ideas and doesn't care who writes the paper as long as it gets done. As everyone in the group knows, the grading is based on a combination of both paper and oral presentation. The lead is reminded that the group would have to meet next week to get ready for an oral presentation in front of the whole class and doesn't know what to do. To answer the case study questions, I will turn it over to Julia with question 1 on the type of group conflict.
That was horrible.
All right, so for conflict in the group, there are many different types of conflict that are mentioned in the text, but the 3 that stood out the most to fit with this case study were intragroup conflict, which are differences that occur within groups, intergroup conflict, which are differences that occur between groups, and relationship conflict, which are interpersonal differences among group members. How would these conflicts affect productivity in the group? With the intra-group conflicts, there was a lack of prioritizing, as seen with the group members coming to their meeting and not having all of their assignments completed. Some of the members had half of their papers written, some of them had them typed, some of them did not. And then with the relationship conflict, there was resentment that was felt within the international student and the lead member, which that right there is going to cause conflict because the international student is not going to feel comfortable enough to step forward and do their own part. And then the fraternity president had an upcoming event which caused conflict immediately as soon as he came to the meeting because he wanted to get in and get out and didn't want to spend any extra time with the group. So I will send this over to Laqueta, who is going to talk about group stages of development.
Yes, the question was asked, what stage of development was the group in? The group was in definitely the first stage of development, which is the formation stage, also known as forming. And in this stage, this is where the group will face some unique challenges. And as you can see from, or as Julia just talked about, some of those challenges that they faced, which is a normal part of forming a group. And this is also known as the getting to know you stage. They did eventually transition into the second stage, which is early development. In the early development stage, this is also known as storming. And unfortunately, groups can stay in the storming stage for long periods of time. And in the storming stage, this is where members learn what's expected of them. They also learn what's acceptable behavior. Acceptable behavior begins to appear. and how well the group relates to each other also happens in this stage. Unfortunately for this group in our case study, they were in the early development stage longer than probably they should have been, which means that they really didn't get a chance to transition into the norming stage. And I'm going to transition this over to Sharon, and Sharon will talk about what she would do as a leader to deal with some of these conflicts that arose.
Great, thank you, LaQueta. Okay. Okay, as LaQueta has already told you about the forming, storming, and performing. And also, I'm going to be talking about differentiated team effectiveness. And I would like to be able to take the lead and bring the group together by a virtual connection through email as a team leader. I would remind the group of our objectives and goals and coach on group effectiveness, how we're going to get this done. I would then clarify our deadline and timelines and reestablish roles and duties. 4, I would ask who has time, what their commitment is to get this done with quality. 5, then we would make the adjustments and ask who needs help, admit that we've dropped the ball, but let's move on from here. Then I would also remind the group that of a buddy system, or as a leader, follow back up with the timeline as a check-in or letting people know when they need to reach out for help. We would identify that we have to behave as a team, be competent, and coach them to do their best, and let's perform our best. I would have established group norms from the beginning and set the expectations up front so there was no ambiguities regarding the task. To establish this value of getting the project done with excellence as a team. And also to reinforce cooperation among members and encourage the team to achieve well, along with creating a feeling of satisfaction and personal growth, overall well-being for the team. With this, I will turn it over to Carrie, who will give our recap and closing.
You concerned? Okay. So in the conclusion of this, just want to reinform that teams come in many different sizes. In the group presentation today, our team is a group of 5, but we are also doing a case study on a group of 6. They have many different lives, many different conflicts going on. The bottom line is to remember the best thing is communication. Talk with your team members. Even if you're not the leader, talk with your other members. You want to keep that line open so there is less conflict. There will be some, but not as much. So yeah, that's the bottom line. We appreciate you listening.
And do you have any questions?
Any questions?
No questions?
No questions?
Okay, all right, thank you.